Hey, what are you doing here? Don't mind the demon stuff. An incredible silence suddenly descends over the city. It is broken by the solemn sound of fanfares that seem to come from far away, everywhere and nowhere, all at once. All eyes are turned to the huge stained glass window of the city's main cathedral. It begins to glow with a soft light, and in the next breath, a lone figure steps out of the glass onto the cobblestone of Dresden.
Knight Commander, at last we meet.
There's no mistaking her. Iomedae, the goddess who has deigned to descend to the world of mortals. Your companions shield their faces, unable to withstand her radiance. The surviving demons quiver. The townsfolk fall to their knees. The deity's eyes are on you and you alone. Making an obscene gesture. I greet you, Light of the Sword. Gods don't often descend to our world. Oh wow, look everyone, it's a goddess. I greet you, Light of the Sword.
And I greet you, Knight Commander. I suppose you're asking yourself why I am here. Gods must not interfere directly in the affairs of mortals. But what is happening here, in the World Wound, is no longer the concern of mortals alone. And this is proof. This fortress has witnessed so many horrors and miracles. It makes me wonder how it still stands.
For a moment, the goddess diverts her eyes from your face and looks out over Dresden, surveying the chaos caused by the recent battle and the manifestation of your power.
Great power lives in you, but this power is evil and destructive. You were supposed to prevent the demon invasion, not lead it. To banish monsters, not swell their legions. You can see for yourself that what you consider a victory looks exactly like a defeat to everyone around you. That is why we must try to save your soul before you lose yourself for good. But I did not come here to reproach you, or to bewail the fate of the unfortunate defenders of Dresden. I wish to stop the forces of evil and defend Golarion, both from Dascari's violent rage and from Nocticula's insidiousness. But that is not my only goal. I have come here to restore justice, for justice is the birthright of all. That's why I hail you as a hero who has triumphed over the demons many times. At the same time, I grieve for you, as for a soul that has succumbed to the influence of the Abyss and been poisoned by its evil.
You're right, but what can I do about it? I have achieved more in my crusade than all the other crusades achieved in 100 years. So if you think you're going to criticize me for using my power, think again. Such a heartwarming concern for me. Now, let's be honest. What is your real reason for coming here? Maybe I did acquire my power from a dubious source, but I follow my own path. I like number 3.
My reasons are as I have told you. I am no demon. I do not lie and cheat. Of that sin I am most certainly innocent. In that moment, when my poor Herald was being torn apart by monsters, he found the strength to send me a message about what he had learned in the Abyss. You were in Elutionera, where you spoke with the Lady in Shadow and the Architect of the World Wound. They confessed what they had done to you, but they did not reveal the whole truth. Both you and this unfortunate world will have to pay dearly for the power that they so generously bestowed upon you. But all is not yet lost. That is why I have come.
The walls of Dresden shake again, and, with a ringing laugh, a black shadow appears before the shining goddess, Nocticula in the flesh. Standing beside her is Aurelia Vorlish, who stares at the goddess with ice-cold rage in her eyes.
Who here has been taking my name in vain? Ah, it's you, the Inheritor. What's this? Our worst fears have come to pass. The gods are flocking to Golarion. This merry little tinderbox could ignite at any moment, reducing the material plane to dust.
The succubus makes Iomedae's title sound like an elegant insult.
I did not come here to fight.
Oh, really? I didn't realize you were good for anything else. Forgive me, that was unfair of me. Judging by your successes over the last 100 years, fighting is not your forte. After all, the wound is still there, as far as I know. So why are you here? If you have come to meddle in my affairs, don't expect me simply to stand aside.
Goddess, can you banish the spawn of the Abyss, or destroy them entirely? This party's really getting started now. Who'll be next to arrive? Cayden Cailean, perhaps? I don't want to listen to you, Iomedae. Leave now. I have nothing to discuss with either of you. I'm ready to hear what you want to tell me. I don't want to listen to you, Iomedae. Leave now. I'm ready to hear what you want to tell me.
Do you hear me, Nocticula? You and your servant are under no obligation to leave. I have come here to shed the light of truth. Let us see if you both can withstand its merciless radiance. I cannot change the flow of mortal history by force. After all, the world wound is their doing, although committed at the behest of the Abyss. But sometimes force is unnecessary, and truthful words are all it takes.
The goddess who was mortal not so long ago is eager to judge us for our sins now. My sin, to be precise. What lies behind your eagerness, proud Iomedae? Righteous wrath? Or perhaps fear? Watch out. A simple mortal woman has learned how to grant powers to others. Powers which are beyond the wildest dreams of many imperial lords. This must be stopped, forbidden, taken away immediately. After all, what need will we have for all these arrogant gods once we become their equals?
Silence. It's impolite to interrupt your elders. But you know, Inheritor, she does have a point. What are you going to do now? Break my weapon, which has made so many victories possible, and only because he received that weapon from my profane hands, and the entire affair must therefore be profane also? What real reasons do you have? Save those born of your envy, your capriciousness, and your suspicions?
My reasons are quite real, as you well know. That is why you appeared here in such haste, is it not? You have woven a delicate lace of half-truths, Nocticula. From you and your servant, the Knight Commander has learned that he is bound to the world wound, that he is slowly dying because of its influence, and that he is yet capable of closing it. But you withheld a crucial piece of information. You never told him that closing the wound won't save him from death. For this lock will destroy the key to which it is bound. The one who closes the world wound will die along with it.
That's a pretty big piece of information to leave out.
That is true. I tried to tell you back in Illusionera, but I was not allowed to. It is an unavoidable consequence of this process. To stitch two planes together as I have stitched Golarion and the Abyss, the soul of a mortal must be woven with the essence of the Abyss. To undo this seam, the original soul, the key, must be ripped apart. No one could survive such a process.
In other words, I'll die if I don't close the wound, and I'll die if I do close it.
It is true. Now do you see the perils of accepting a demonic gift? No matter how much power the Abyss gives you, that power will always be tainted by lies and misfortune. This is the justice I promised you. The right to know the whole truth, and not to be a plaything in the hands of abyssal spawn.
Nocticula, were you trying to hide this from me?
Trying, you say? I successfully hid the truth from you for as long as I deemed necessary. Are you expecting me to explain myself? My goal is to close the world wound, not to grant you a happily ever after.
What if I reject this power?
You will live.
Okay.
You will lose everything that makes life worth living.
Ah, okay.
You will spoil a brilliant endeavor and destroy the lives of thousands of mortals who will be devoured by the legions of demons coming from the abyss. Aside from that, you won't do anything extraordinary at all.
What if I'm willing to sacrifice my life if it means closing the world wound?
Oh, how noble! For a brief moment, I even felt some regret that we demons are incapable of such lovely feelings. You see now, Inheritor? My little protege has more nobility in him than you expected. Shame on you.
This nobility is exactly why I came here.
I was just asking.
To help the Knight Commander learn the truth, and to show him that he has been used. Besides, I do not believe that you have been acting for selfless reasons, Lady in Shadow. Honesty and nobility have never counted among your virtues. You own the main source of Nahindrian crystals, and your servant Arilu has learned how to break the laws of the universe with their help. Can it be that the ruler of darkness and mistress of assassins has not conceived a way to use this formidable gift for her own benefit?
I want to say real quick, I love Nocticula's wings. Those look so cool.
Accusations, suspicions, all completely hollow, just like your bright-eyed pretty little head.
Damn.
It's a pity you inherited Eridan's sword, but not his sharp mind. I have but one goal now, to stop the armies of that lecherous billy goat and that gluttonous bug from strutting around my domain as if it were their own. I don't give a fig whether it will help mortals or hurt them. If the enemy of your enemy makes you a mutually beneficial proposition, you would have to be a complete idiot to say no.
Goddess, can you cleanse my soul of the influence of the abyss?
Arilu has planted a piece of the abyss itself in your soul. The only thing that can cleanse the soul of such a taint is that same soul. But I will be near. I will show you how to root out the demonic corruption. I am not a demon, and I do not offer any simple solutions. You will have to go your own way, no matter where it leads.
Well, now I'm finally starting to understand the rules of this game.
Yes. The power that Nahindrian crystals grant you will bring about nothing but your own demise. The branches of the Tree of Sin are vast and verdant, but its only fruit is death. You will not be able to save yourself unless you reject everything that has been foisted upon you. Now you know everything.
No, we're not quite finished with the revelations yet. Few secrets remain to be revealed, but they will be worth the wait. Does this look familiar?
With a flick of the...
Do you remember the similar wound above your own heart? I have given you enough hints. Come on, ask me the question I have been waiting for.
With a flick of the witch's wrist, something changes in her, as if a veil has fallen. One so thin that it was almost invisible, but which had clouded your vision nonetheless. Now you can see what was hidden before, a deep open wound above Arilu's heart. The wound pulsates as blood drips from it. Your wound. History tells us a lot of curious things about the world wound's creation. But my knowledge was really good. I received my wound because you, Arilu, implanted the essence of the abyss in my soul when you expanded the world wound. My question is, why do you have a similar wound? Could it be because you used your own soul as a key when you first opened the world wound? Let's go with that one.
That's right. And this means that the world wound actually has two keys.
Good question. Just imagine. I have wasted so much time chasing the key to the world wound, and the key was right under my nose this whole time. Arilu, my love, come over here.
Nocticula looks at Arilu with fresh eyes, predatory curiosity written on her face. Arilu does not look like someone who has been cornered. Without a trace of fear, she gives you a faint nod, and then makes a barely discernible gesture with her hand. It disappears as if she were never even there.
Wait, I said wait! That little bitch. I knew she would betray me sooner or later, but I never expected such an idiotic stunt. But everything seems to be falling into place quite nicely. You see, you don't have to die after all. Arilu opened the world wound, and Arilu will be the one who closes it, whether she likes it or not. Although, someone will need to catch her first, and this will require certain powers.
Yes, Arilu Vorlesh will pay for her crimes with her life. Her flight confirms that our suppositions were correct. But now we know that the world wound can be sealed with her blood. You have no reasons to remain indebted to the Abyss and indulge the Queen of the Succubi. Reject her gift and secure your victory while being the person you were before Arilu Vorlesh corrupted you. Win as a mortal and become a legend among mortals.
She's talking rubbish. True, we gave you the power, but it was you who chose how to wield it. It belongs to you, and it will remain yours, so you can do whatever you want with it. But first, you must use it to close the world wound. You aren't going to catch this world's most powerful witch, and a half-demon one at that, with your bare hands, are you?
Making good points. Both the goddess and the demon lord stare at you expectantly. Before I make my decision, I want to ask Iomedae some questions. Sure.
Ask, and you shall have your answers.
Alright, this is going to be a really long episode. Oh my god. You gained your power from the Starstone. How's my power any different?
My ascension was not accomplished in one day, and even the test of the Starstone was only one of its stages. I did not merely gain power. I embraced a sacred duty. Your power, on the other hand, stems not from long hours of study, not from trials.
Well.
It is not the natural talent you were born with and carefully honed throughout your life. It is the result of an evil soul's deranged experiment with the blood of dead abyssal lords.
To say I've gone through no trials is, you know, I don't know about that. You imprisoned entire hosts of angels inside the Wardstones. Why did you do that to them?
Every one of my angels volunteered for that mission. They all knew what kind of watch they were going to keep. They knew that it would be a hard and exhausting battle, but that the lives of mortals throughout Golarion would depend on it. Alas, angels' minds can be as fragile as the minds of mortals. In less than 100 years, many wavered and wished to break the oath they had sworn. I do not blame them. I blame myself for allowing them to take on a burden that was too heavy for them.
Did you send your herald to follow me to the Abyss, or did he go on his own free will?
He acted on his own noble impulse, and I did not stop him. I also did not try to dispel his misconception about you being my chosen one. I do not lie, but both celestial beings and mortals can be mistaken.
She doesn't lie, sure. She merely withholds some of the truth. For the noblest of reasons, of course.
Do you know what happened to your herald?
My herald, my loyal companion, was captured, and now demons are using him to attack Drazin. They're holding him in the Ivory Labyrinth, Baphomet's realm of the Abyss. It is a place I cannot go, not even to save my faithful friend. For doing so would start an interplanar war. Right now, as we speak, Baphomet's servants are torturing the hand of the Inheritor. Tormented and anguished, he reaches for you with his thoughts and his soul. I cannot tell if he sees you as a great unfulfilled hope or a last chance. But Baphomet knows well how to exploit such desperate yearning. He has turned my herald into a source of power to open temporary portals. They do not last long, but they lead from the dungeon where the hand of the Inheritor suffers, right to your doorstep. Baphomet does not need to lead his armies through the rifts. Now he can send them right here. As long as my poor herald remains in the hands of that monster, this will not stop. I cannot say if it is still possible to save him, or if putting him out of his misery is the only way. I cannot openly ask you to intervene. But if you decide to do so, you will be helping both yourself and the one who chose the martyr's path when he followed you into the abyss.
I mean, he kind of abandoned me pretty quickly. Ever since I acquired these powers, everyone has believed me to be Iomede's chosen. Why don't you do anything to dispel this misunderstanding?
At first, I did not know who you were, or where your powers originated. This was revealed to me only when my herald offered up his dying prayer from the depths of the abyss. And following his desperate plea, I sought to confirm my suspicions. Until that point, I had observed you without intervening. After all, your crusade was securing victories, the first Golarion had seen in many years. So even if it was not I who had sent you into battle, it felt unfair to undermine you.
In other words, our Imperial guest had no problem with your power, as long as she didn't know where it came from. She didn't even share her suspicions with her own herald. And after all that, someone dares to claim that demons are the most deceitful creatures?
You should not blame someone else if you base your accusations on vague suspicions rather than solid proof. You call my behavior deceitful. You, of all creatures, who kept the commander ignorant of the fate you had chosen for him? Indeed, the insolence of demons knows no bounds.
Okay, yep, you're both deceitful. We get it. A demon lord stands before you. Why don't you destroy her right here and now?
I could. But then every other demon lord would decide that he or she was next and stand against me. In response to that, the Imperial lords would take up arms. Then Hell, Heaven, and Elysium would join the conflict. A war would break out, one which mortals could not hope to survive.
Why have you decided to descend to the world of mortals at this particular moment?
As I have already said, I am here to open your eyes to Nocticula's lies
Okay, calm
and to
down.
prevent more calamities in the future. You are at a crossroads now. I will not force you to do anything, but you needed to learn the truth and have the chance to cleanse yourself.
Why did Aurelu do everything possible to lead us to the idea that she was a key too?
The impulses that drive a soul as black as hers are beyond my comprehension. Perhaps she was startled by my arrival and decided not to bother keeping a secret that was bound to be revealed. Or perhaps she is up to some cunning scheme. Be on your guard. The architect of the World Wound will surely try to bring you down. For if she truly is a key, then it must mean that she will die sooner or later due to the influence of her own horrible creation. And that means that sacrificing you is her only chance of survival.
Explain it to me again. How exactly can you help me cleanse myself of the influence of the Abyss?
Aurelu has planted a piece of the Abyss itself in your soul. The only thing that can cleanse the soul of such a taint is that sin. It is time to make your decision then.
Yeah, we'd heard that before already. Nocticula, I have some questions for you.
If you have questions, ask away.
Why did you try to hide the fact that closing the World Wound would kill me?
Because if I'd told you the truth, you would have refused to do it. But you're not angry with me, are you? After all, everything has worked out perfectly fine. We found another key. So now you can live and enjoy your life. Provided that you catch Aurelu, of course.
Now that we've decided to use Aurelu to close the World Wound, do you still want me to keep the powers I acquired from her?
Of course I do. Firstly, you'll need those powers to catch Aurelu and bring her to Threshold. Surely you don't think she'll willingly fall into your hands, and the demonic hordes will politely make way for you. And secondly, the powers Aurelu gave you protect you from dying before your time. None of us want the wound to kill you prematurely.
Nocticula flashes a predatory grin at you.
You are extremely useful to me alive. After all, if you let Aurelu slip through your fingers, we can always go back to the original plan for closing the wound.
Aurelu deliberately led us to the idea that she was a key too. Why?
Apparently, she understood that her secret was about to be revealed anyway, so she decided to leave in style. What human female over 100 years old wouldn't feel flattered at being the center of attention? Although she could have other reasons. She obviously wanted us to understand everything and immediately rush off in pursuit of her. She's probably been preparing for a war of all against all for a long time, and now she wants to wage it on her own terms. Expect treachery and traps wherever you go.
Where could Aurelio have fled to?
Now, let's think. She's hidden in the Abyss before. She won't dare to return there now. Not only to my realm, but to any other either. Even if Baphomet and Discari both take it upon themselves to guard Aurilu personally, that won't stop me from sneaking in, slitting her throat, and leaving undetected. And she knows that. If I were her, I would hide in a place where the powers of her enemies were uncertain, and her own power was close to unlimited. I say you should look for her here, in the World Wound.
Aren't you afraid to stand in the presence of a goddess?
Tut tut, how rude! I wouldn't say the girl is that hideous. I admit her face is far from perfect. Her body too, to be honest. But all in all, not bad. I've seen worse.
Your theatrics are too transparent to offend me, demon. At least, they can hardly offend me more than the very fact of your existence.
Do you really plan to use me to become a goddess yourself?
That is nothing but the wild speculation of a little girl who gained celestial power through no merit of her own and now fears that others may do the same, forcing her to share her place in the spotlight. Do I want to become a goddess? Of course I do. Who wouldn't? Can you help me with that? Sadly, no. Of course, Aurilu used to blather on about how her brilliant invention could bake gods like pies. But between you and me, the cleverer the inventor, the larger their ego becomes. So far, she hasn't managed to create anything stronger than you. And no offense, but you're no match for any deity.
Not yet. No more questions.
Very well. It's time for you to make your decision then.
I need to ask my companions.
Don't even try to tell me that you are seriously considering rejecting your power. Power grants you the freedom to do whatever you wish.
True.
And you are prepared to simply toss it aside to become a nobody?
Calm down. I haven't said what I'm going to do yet.
Your power doesn't lie in magic tricks. You know it doesn't. Your real power is inside you. You can win without tricks. I will help you.
To be fair, the power that I'm talking about is also inside me, but thank you.
I don't see any reason for deliberation. Your power is chaotic and capricious, and it originates from a demonic source. I doubt you can even control it. Heed the words of the goddess. Reject it. And then we will hunt down Aurilu Vorlesh and deliver the punishment she deserves.
Iomedae has spoken. What more is there to say? If there's a way to get rid of this demonic filth, do it.
After all you've done, I am not even sure that you still have a chance for redemption.
Damn, dude.
But if even a grain of humanity still remains in you, please do as the goddess says.
My brother is wise. Listen to his advice.
Someone pinch me. We are standing in the presence of the most pompous goddess in the world, debating whether we should listen to her or send her packing along with her invaluable opinions. I shall remember this moment for the rest of my life. Even as I stand in Pharasma's court, I shall tell this story to anyone who will listen. As for your original question, I have no idea what you should decide. Do as your heart tells you, or just flip a coin.
I hate it when they corner you and demand answers out of you. But fine, I'll tell you what I think.
Wardrick casts a sideways glance at Iomedae and winces.
With you, I've always had my freedom, Chief. You never hurt me, never tried to bully me, never made me follow any rules. Freedom matters more than anything to you, just like it does to me. But who can really be free? Whoever's strong enough, that's who. I say take all the power they give you. It's easy for them to say, they're not common mortals. But folks like us, We really understand the difference between the powerful and powerless. Remember Hala Shanira and the advice you gave me? I accepted that power and I've never regretted it.
Experience tells me that it's wiser to trust yourself and your own abilities. You can't trust what clients tell you. One day you're a hero, the next you're working for the enemy. Sorry, but it all looks like a setup to me. First they tell you to lay down your weapons, and then, once you're unarmed, they finish you off in some back alley.
You know what I am about to say, Master. This power is ours, no matter where it came from and how we gained it. Only a complete idiot would reject such might. And if you consider the number of enemies you've made, then it would make you an idiot with a death wish.
Your powers are interesting from a theoretical point of view. You are an experiment started by Arilu Vorlesh, and terminating it before it is complete would be foolish, not to mention impolite.
Listen to the goddess, War Chief. And if you won't listen to her, then listen to me. You don't need these thrice cursed powers. You're the strongest of the strong, and the bravest of the brave, even without the gifts of a mad sorceress.
I've made my decision.
I am waiting for your answer. I hope you will choose wisely.
Quite right. Make your choice, and make it the right one.
All right. So, all these are locked. I can either be a demon or a legend. One doesn't need to be a mythic creature, an otherworldly being or deity chosen to become a hero. This path may be grueling and full of temptation, but the mortal who treads it fully earns the right to call themselves a true legend. Let me get my demon tail back. The demon tail, yep. So we get mythic feat, demonic aspect, uncontrolled rage. Whenever the demon would become paralyzed, frightened, cowering, or stunned, they instead fall into an uncontrolled rage for an equal duration. The demon gains immunity to the effects of dazed, paralyzed, petrified, frightened, cowering, sleeping, stunned, and confused conditions, as well as other movement and action impairing effects. Base attack bonus becomes equal to the character's level, and their strength ability score becomes equal to twice their mythic rank plus 16. Jesus! That's the ability score. The demon gains a bonus to speed equal to twice their mythic rank plus 10, a plus 6 enchantment bonus to strength, dexterity, constitution ability scores, and a plus 4 natural. All of the demon's weapons deal damage as if two sizes categories larger than they actually are. While in an uncontrolled rage, the demon can't tell friend from foe. The demon loses control of themselves and attacks the nearest creature. Damn. We also get wings. Hey, nice. Yep, we're a demon. We be demons. I haven't really been checking to see if we're getting better weapons. It doesn't seem like we are. So maybe we should just do the scimitar already. Oh, we can't. Well, I guess we can do bites. Or anything else in here? I don't think so. Get dodge. You know what we're gonna do? It feels foolish not to get one of these, but I'm okay with that. Let's go ahead and get... There's something I remember wanting. Last Stand. Yep, we're just gonna get Last Stand. This is a normal demonic aspect. This is the ranged attack one. Plus 2 to natural armor. That's Brimarack. Mobility, trickery. Yeah, we'll do the Brimarack. Alright, level 1, ear piercing scream. Level 3, whole person. Level 5, 2 of them. Song of Discord and Call Lightning Storm. There we go. The choice is made. All you have to do is announce it to everyone. I'll keep this power, and I'll gain more besides. After I close the world wound, my roar will shake the abyss to its foundations.
Your pride will destroy you, and perhaps all of Golarion with you. But I shall not intervene now, so as to avoid causing even more suffering to this world. Farewell.
So, you have chosen an uncontrollable and dangerous power after all. That is extremely short-sighted.
It would have been so foolish for you to reject your powers. So many victories, so many achievements lie ahead for you. Well, go now. Capture Arilu, and prove which of you is making the best use of her invention. I'll be watching you.
The Demon Lord blows you a kiss and disappears. I even got to hear it. There we go, guys. Help Hilor in the dungeons. Who's Hilor? Why was he in the dungeons? I remember Hilor, yeah. Why was he in the dungeons again? I don't remember. I don't know. Alright, we're gonna have more dialogue. This episode is gonna turn into 2 episodes if it keeps it up. I'm sure there's gonna be more dialogue here. We've got this loading screen. Come on, game. Two days have passed. Oh, look at this place. It's lovely, isn't it? Damn, dude. I've really messed this place up, huh? It's so beautiful. So much blood. Anevia hisses in pain and awkwardly turns her neck, which is wrapped in a bloody rag. Heart-rending screams that speak of triumph and torment spill out of the streets of Dresden, blending into a grand, terrifying cacophony of violence. With a crooked smile, Anevia bitterly remarks, "Looks like the demons took the city after all, though nobody could have guessed who'd be commanding them when they did." It's good Erebeth isn't here to see this. She wouldn't have been able to watch this. She'd have run headlong into the fray. But trying to take on a whole city? A city in the throes of agony? The streets running with blood? It's a crazy idea. What's all that screaming? Anevia shrugs. Somebody's killing somebody? Before you came back, I would have called them vicious street fights, but now it's just normal life in Dresden. The commanding officers are dead. The ties between the various units are broken. Now each one just does what it wants. And they all want bloodshed and plunder. This horde will only listen to you. You were injured in the battle? Nope. This happened after. One of your new recruits tried to rob me. I hope that's all he intended. He ambushed me in an alley and came at me with a knife. But I was faster. I don't know if he was one of the ones you called to fight under your banner, or if he was part of the army storming Dresden, only recently and he switched sides. Either way, he ain't among the living anymore. You seem to dislike your new comrades. I've stopped understanding. What you've done to the Crusade ain't all that different from what the rulers of the Wound are doing. The only difference is the end goal. You're not trying to enslave Golarion. You're fighting against the ones who invaded our home. If our only option left is to fight fire with fire, then I'm ready to burn. Damn. That's a good line. My servants need a new enemy, and quickly. Let's get to work. Whatever you say. Your army doesn't listen to orders and has no discipline at all. But I'm sure they'll be only too happy to obey one command. Sick 'em. What's the situation at the front? Unknown. Her Majesty mustered all the troops she could, raised the Sword of Valor, and advanced on the demons. There's been no word from her since she left. Perhaps she's boldly taking eyes even now. Maybe her bones have already been picked clean by demons. We don't know. And I doubt anybody except you will be able to find out. But that's not all. Baphomet's minions keep taking swipes at us. The scumbags are holed up somewhere. The Ivory Labyrinth, I'll bet. And they keep opening portals in different spots, dropping off a dozen units, and then closing the portal before we can get to them. We lost more scouts than I care to admit. Before we figured out how they were pulling off the little trick. Oh my god, I don't know what's going on, guys. So here's what I'm thinking. Maybe you could get to one of those portals in time. You could be ready for them somehow, so that when one opens, you could get inside and crack some skulls. They might even be holding the poor Herald in there. If he's alive, you can free him. How do you feel after seeing the goddess in the flesh? My ears are still ringing from those trumpets. After witnessing that sight, I don't think I could be surprised by anything ever again. As you just heard, I have to catch Aurilu. Any idea where I should look for her? Not especially. She's been roaming the abyss all this time, but now that avenue's closed to her. Nocticula and the other demon lords are all slavering for a piece of her. I think she's someplace around here, in the Wound. Some nasty little place like Eyes, or maybe she went as far as Threshold. An entire army of demons enhanced by Nahindran crystals was being sent here. It's being led by a demon named Mutasiphon. Do you know anything about that? Scouts reported the movements of a large demon army far to the southwest of Dresden. They were marching across a dried-out lake. There used to be a Sicorian holy place there, I heard. But where they went, nobody knows. They're not headed for us, that's for sure. At least, not yet. Thank you for the report. I'll be setting off without delay. Nevia holds her gaze, a challenge in her eyes. Your orders will be carried out. And you know why? Because you're the only one with enough power and metal to close the wound. Right now, your new soldiers are content with robbing and brutalizing each other. But soon, they'll want more. Get back here as fast as you can. Take this horde and hurl it at the enemy. If your army's gonna cause carnage, let it be on the front lines. Maybe later, when all's said and done, other people will come accusing us of atrocities, and we'll be hanged as traitors and demon worshippers. Maybe they'll be right. But for that later to even happen, we need to win today. Oh my god, just let me end the episode. Reggie looks slightly more tense than usual. Manorak, I have fairly important news. I will do my best to be brief. The Hell Knight orders have not reacted well to the developments I mentioned in the latest report, specifically regarding the true source of your power. The very notion that we have been cooperating with a weapon forged by Aurilu Vorlish and Nocticula has caused discontent. The orders have not issued any official edicts, but many chapters and high-ranking knights have been recalled from their assignments and barricaded themselves in one of our outposts. The one you know, in fact. I suggest you go there and resolve the issue between the Orders and the Crusaders. This is a matter of importance. How could you even think that reporting this to the Orders would be a good idea? Do you really think I could withhold this information from my superiors? Do not degrade me or yourself with such ridiculous suggestions. What kind of reaction should I expect from the Hell Knights? Any, up to and including a formal declaration of war. Which is why you must go to the outpost and resolve the issue before it dissolves into open conflict. Very well. Excellent. That is all I had to report, so I'll return to my duties, and you may attend to your other affairs. The Inquisitor appears calm and dignified, but the gaze he turns on you is anything but friendly. Good day to you, Commander. What are you doing in my bedroom? I suppose you have already guessed what has brought me here. We parted ways after the discovery we made at Count Arande's estate. You and I both know that the Count became a conduit for an unknown entity, which I called the Other. I retreated in Arisian, and then went beyond Mendev's borders, looking for mention of such entities and ways to fight them. And now that my search has borne fruit, I am ready to tell you about it. You're not very good at hiding your antipathy, Inquisitor. I'm trying to remain professional, the Inquisitor says with a slight shrug, but I'll be blunt. The commander I met after the Battle of Canabras and the commander I see now are two completely different people. If I didn't consider the Other a colossal threat, I doubt I would have come to you today. But I am an Inquisitor, not a Paladin. I can allow myself a short-term alliance with someone whom my faith deems unacceptable. If countless lives will be saved from a greater danger. Why'd your search take so long? Because we are dealing with a rare phenomenon, a true anomaly. The Medieval Inquisition has amassed substantial experience in fighting demons, but here we are up against something completely different. I had to trawl through our archives searching for cases that seemed in any way similar. I sent inquiries to friendly temples and reached out beyond our nation's borders to experts on the unknown. It was dull and painstaking work, but it was necessary. So what have you learned about the other? I must be honest, I still don't know what it is. However, I managed to find some evidence of similar incidents. Individuals who, in a horrible moment in their life, became a gateway for an unknown entity. The most curious part is that all these cases appear almost sequential. They happened in various corners of Golarion, but no two incidents ever occurred at the same time. This leads me to think that we are dealing with a single entity, one that has been secretly present in our world for a long time, merely changing its gateways on occasion. While I do not know what this entity is, I managed to find something of great value. A Varisian arcanist managed to pick up the trail of the other and invented a ritual to weaken and bind it. She died under very suspicious circumstances. Her decapitated body was found in her laboratory. Her head was never found. But her notes survived, including the description of the ritual. I have discussed it with several highly esteemed experts in magic, and I am inclined to consider this as a reliable weapon. We can use the ritual to lure the entity out, bind it, and probably exterminate it. But to do that, I'll need your assistance, Commander. What do we need to do? We must carefully prepare the ritual, and then bring Count Aronde to the designated location. The ritual will lure out the other, weaken its connection with the Count, and bind its essence to our world like an anchor. The last part is especially important. All the evidence indicates that while the gateway is active, the other can travel freely from between the material plane and the same unknown space that lies beyond. If we fail to bind the other with this ritual, it will either escape or, in the worst case scenario, drag us into its realm. Hence we must lure it out, and then, I suppose, defeat it. There's one more issue. Aside from the fact that we'll have to fight this incredibly powerful and horrifying creature, the other's suspicion must not be aroused until the very last moment. And this means that the Count must know nothing as well. The best course of action would be to take the Count to the designated location without telling him the reason for the journey. Then we must frighten him, and make it appear that his life is in danger. The other will believe that its gateway is in peril, and then, I hope, it will show up to protect it. The ritual circle will work as a trap, but it is crucial, and I stress this, that we convince the entity that we know nothing of its existence, that it is Darren who is in danger, not the entity itself. Otherwise, there's no knowing what may happen, and I don't want to give the adversary any chance to outmaneuver us. Why do you think the other will appear to protect Darren? You have a special connection with your companions, Commander. You shared part of your mythic power with them. They journeyed through the abyss with you, and survived to tell the tale. I believe the others understand this. It also must understand how dangerous it would be if you were to become not a benefactor, but an enemy to its gateway. I am certain that it will react to a threat coming from you, as opposed to ordinary encounters with demons and cultists. How dangerous is it? It is extremely dangerous, which is why I've come to you with this. All this evidence I've collected on the other, in particular the list of its victims, which include powerful demons and strong mortal mages, make me certain that we are dealing with something extraordinary here. It is stronger and more dangerous than Balor's and other generals of the Abyss. I also suspect that the oracle powers the Count has developed come from the other. As a rule, only gods, imperial lords, and other extremely powerful beings are capable of granting such abilities. I know no one except for you who could challenge such an entity, so I am asking you to help, for the safety of all who dwell on Golarion. However, I believe that we can shore up our strategic position if the other doesn't suspect we're preparing a trap until the very last moment. Even the most dangerous of creatures becomes more vulnerable when caught off guard. The main thing we must do is to take a methodical approach and stay alert. I think that is within our abilities. Are you sure that this other is hostile toward us? I am certain that this entity is dark and truly evil. Excuse me. The evidence and my instincts as an inquisitor are undeniable. Wherever the other manifests itself, strange and ominous things begin to happen. In particular, I am positive that it is responsible for all the magically decapitated corpses. The ones that were found at Heaven's Edge after the tragedy and in Canabras after Discar's attack. In both places, some of the corpses belonged to civilians and others to demons, and in Canabras, some of the victims were cultists. I am convinced that the other is pursuing some interest of its own, and thus far it has ruthlessly exterminated any who learn of its existence. And now, you and I know it exists. Draw your own conclusions. If Darren is the gateway, can't we just slam this gateway shut and leave the other on the other side? We can, by killing the Count, the Inquisitor answered simply. But firstly, I'm not sure that the other won't try to protect its gateway, and in that case, we would have to face it unprepared. And secondly, I am opposed to the idea in principle. Sometimes Inquisitors must make hard decisions. I have made a great many in my lifetime. For instance, I can kill a person possessed by demons, if he or she is at imminent risk of taking many lives, and have no time to perform an exorcism. But in this instance, the situation is not so critical. We have a way of fighting the other. I will not agree to commit cold-blooded murder, not even the murder of someone as disgraceful as Count Arendae. Sure, I'll help. Thank you. Now let's go over the entire operation once more. Do we have to? I'm convinced that we must lure out the others, blah, 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 and other populated places to avoid civilian casualties. I have chosen a suitable location within the World Rune. I'll mark it on your map. You must bring the Count there without alerting him to what has happened, or is about to happen. I assume that another foray into the World Rune will hardly raise his suspicions. I'll await you there, with the ritual circle prepared. But before we reach the crucial moment, you must make the Count and the other believe that the Count is in danger. I suppose the easiest way to do that would be to tell him that you've made a deal with the Mindev Inquisition, and the Count will have to face punishment for his crimes, real or imaginary. I'll find a way to intimidate him, but you must play along. We need to provoke the other to come out to protect its gateway. That's when we finish it off, once and for all. This case will be my greatest triumph or my greatest failure, but I firmly believe that it must be done. Remember my words. The other must be convinced that we are threatening the Count, and that we know nothing of its own existence. The slightest suspicion would prove fatal for us. Until we meet again, Commander, and may the gods be with us. Oh my god. I can't save right now, can I? Yeah, like, this is... Even though I wasn't recording, this would be a lot. A pale, ghostly image appears in front of you. You recognize Lathamus, the antiquarian, the scholar you helped some time ago. His translucent form flickers intermittently, and you have difficulty making out his words. Commander, it's Themis. I won't be maintained spell for long. Open the door. Treasure room. Please hurry. What door? What are you talking about? The door to the dragon burial ground. The bell. The caves. Remember? What? What? Did you manage to open the door? Yes. I won't enter without you. Waiting on your help. I'm on my way. I'll be waiting. Please, Dawn of Dragons. Yaz. Drops his illusory disguise with a snap of his fingers, but he lacks his usual showmanship. His eyes are blank and expressionless, and his characteristic smirk seems to have been pasted on his face. Greetings, mortal. I have been ordered to invite you to an important meeting. You notice a fresh scar on the demon's neck. The nasty-looking wound is starting to scab over, and the skin has turned an ugly purple color. The wound reminds you of a leech, a fat, bulbous leech that has latched onto Yaz's neck and won't let go. Yaz stares at you with glassy eyes. His voice is dull and monotonous. The last time you saw him, he was ready to fight. He wanted your blood. But now, it's as if he feels nothing at all. Who sent you? Chimera, the Ardent Dream, desires an audience with you. There's an urgent matter she wishes to discuss. She ordered me to bring you to her as soon as possible. What does Chimera want? I'm not at liberty to disclose the details. All I can tell you is that she plans to make you a very serious offer. Chimera has also ordered me to tell you that she holds you in the highest esteem, and that she would like to form a permanent alliance with you. I beat you up once before. Do you want me to do it again? For a moment, Yaz's face twists into something that looks almost like a grimace, but then the demon returns to his drowsy, tranquil state. That doesn't matter right now. What matters is my current task. Where'd you get that scar? He doesn't answer. There is something strange and unnatural about this smile. I feel great. The demon's hands twitch slightly, and his fingers begin to inch toward the scar as if they had a mind of their own. Then they fall back again in defeat, limp and lifeless. So you're nothing more than a messenger boy now. The demon ignores the insult. He gazes at you indifferently as if he's some kind of living statue. I was given a task. I have fulfilled it. I need time to prepare. I was instructed to wait for you. You'll find me in the streets of Dresden. Commander, you look up and see Melissa, the green-eyed fisherwoman from the village of Chili Creek. Her hair is a mess, and her face and clothes are covered in soot. It looks as though she's traveled here in a hurry, and met with a few dangers along the way. Help! Please help me. He's gone crazy. He will kill him. What happened? Do you remember Jerno, the cleric who came to our village a year ago? The locals weren't very welcoming to him back then. After all, he was a stranger who was preaching about a strange new god. But little by little, he became one of us. He went fishing alongside us, and he told people stories about the crusade. He told us about meeting you and seeing the Queen, and the songs he used to sing. They just made you want to stop and listen. Well, eventually, she looks down, we became very close. We started to plan a wedding. My brother didn't seem to mind at first, but after we got married, well, that's when he lost it. He became violent. He threatened to hurt us. I tried to talk to him, but... She shakes her head sadly. We even thought about leaving the village, but when my brother found out, he lost his mind completely. Markel is strong, and no one else in the village dares to challenge him. It was a miracle that I managed to escape, but my husband is still there. He didn't make it out of the village. I don't know what's happened to him. Help us, please. What causes change? She looks away and replies softly. Markel, he really honors the village traditions. We've been worshipping the river for many generations. He was not keen on having the cleric of a foreign god in the village, but he was willing to tolerate Jerno's presence for a while. However, my relationship with Jerno really disappointed Markel, especially when he discovered that I had begun to worship Erastil too. How'd you get here? By some miracle, I guess. Everything is on fire out there. And all those monsters. But never mind me. I managed to survive. I made it here in one piece. But I am in serious trouble, and I have no one I can turn to. Please, help me. You're my only hope. Alright. Thank you. I'll head back to the village. I'll do my best to keep him from flying into a rage. But please hurry. I'm afraid he might do something terrible. Oh, finally. Alright, guys. We're going to end the episode there. In the next one, we're going to see what's going on out in my city and on the map and everything. Got a lot to do. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you later.